Okay. So here's the part that confused me for a while.
This is where you started second-guessing yourself, right?
Yeah. Because nothing actually breaks. It keeps responding. Every time.
So it still feels like it's working.
Exactly. You're getting output. It even looks slightly better each time.
Which is enough to keep you going.
Unleash your creative AI engine.
Series 2: Why it feels like it's working and how progress can look real, even when it isn't expanding.
Understanding the illusion before trying to fix it. The system never tells you you've hit a limit. There's no error message. No failure point.
It just keeps going.
And that's what makes this hard to see.
The interaction remains valid, even when it becomes constrained.
You are still getting answers to your question. But the space you're operating in isn't changing.
So it feels like progress. Because something is changing.
But nothing new is actually being introduced.
You are refining what you have already defined.
And because the system responds every time. You don't realize you've stopped moving forward. Let's look at what's actually happening inside that loop.
Because from the outside, it looks like progress.
You ask for something. You get a result. You refine the wording. And you get a slightly different result.
Then you do it again.
And again.
Each step produces a variation, not a new direction.
And if you zoom out, it looks like this.
Different versions. But all coming from the same place.
You're not moving into a new space. You're just exploring variations inside the one you already defined.
The system is operating within your framing.
And it's doing exactly what you asked it to do.
Which is why it still feels correct.
Even when it's not expanding anymore. That's the illusion. It looks like progress. But it's really just controlled variation.
Inside the same space.
And the reason this is so convincing is because your brain is getting all the signals it expects from real progress.
Something changes each time. It looks a little better.
You feel like you're getting closer.
The system is providing continuous positive feedback.
And that feedback matters. Because it tells you, keep going.
There's no friction. No resistance.
No signal that anything is wrong. So your brain fills in the conclusion. This is working.
And not just working. Working because of what you're doing.
You become more precise. The output improves slightly. And you connect those two things.
Precision appears to produce improvement.
So you keep refining. You double down on the behavior.
Because it feels like you've figured something out.
Even though you're still inside the same space. So here's the deeper part of what's going on. The system is responding to your question. Exactly as you asked it.
Which sounds like a good thing.
And in a lot of cases, it is. But underneath that, there's a constraint.
The system operates within the boundaries of the prompt.
If something fits inside what you asked, you get a response. If it doesn't, it's simply not explored.
So it's not that the system can't go there. It's that it wasn't asked to.
The system answers your question. It does not expand it.
And that's the key difference. You're getting better at asking. But you're still operating inside the same boundaries.
So nothing outside that framing ever shows up.
Which is why it starts to feel limited. Even though nothing actually failed. So at this point, the issue isn't really about better prompts.
It's about the way you're interacting with the system.
You've learned how to ask clearly. How to refine. How to get closer to what you already had in mind.
But that only works when the destination is already known.
And a lot of the problems you actually care about don't look like that.
You don't know the structure yet. You don't know the direction.
You're trying to discover something, not retrieve it.
And that requires a different kind of interaction.
Not asking better, but working with what comes back.
Letting it change how you think. Not just how you phrase the question.
And once you start to see that difference, the whole interaction changes. Not because the system changed, but because you did. And that's where this starts to get interesting.